In this video, we're gonna talk about the interface of ZBrush and how also we can customize it and reset everything to the original setup. So we're gonna start to get a little bit more accustomed to the software and start to familiarize with the parts of the interface and how we can do everything and how we can start to work using the basic tools, the basic commands, the basic toolbars and palettes. Now, just as you said before, we're gonna start with really simple things, with really basic things, and then we're gonna increase the level video by video, step by step. So the more expert can just go forward, and the less expert, they are welcome to see these first lessons, because these are really important if you are starting right now. Also, if you are a complete beginner to 3D modeling, don't worry, we're gonna go step by step and see the simplest thing first, and then we're gonna move into more complex things later. So first of all, we saw in the previous video how we can download, install, and run ZBrush, and this is the interface how it's gonna present. This is the software how it's gonna present itself at the beginning. So you're gonna see this big panel right here opened up, and this is called the Lightbox. So you will find really a lot of things inside the Lightbox, and we will talk about later. We will talk about the differences between a project or a document or a tool. So they're pretty similar in a way, but they have their own differences. So don't worry, this is just going to be an introduction, and then we're going to get into the more in depth with this topic later. So first of all, you can see up here on the top we have the memory usage, and ZBrush relies on the graphic card, so you must have a strong graphic card. The stronger the graphic card you have, the more polygons you can work with. Now, everything is based in polygons when we talk about 3D modeling in a polygonal way, which is the system that ZBrush uses. So we use polygons, which are essentially faces. So if I double click here on the dog, just as we did in the previous video, we can see that the dog has a number of faces. Now, those are the polygons. So when we talk about polygons, we are referring to those faces. Now, the stronger your system will be, your GPU, your graphic card, the more polygons you can work with. And if you want to achieve like photorealistic look, really high detail, really high poly models, you need to have a lot of polygons. You need to increase the number of polygons. Now we're gonna do that later. We're just gonna work with the simple models right now. So you can see up there you have the Lightbox button. So every time you wanna bring up the Lightbox again, you can click there and you can open up another project. And you can decide whether you want to save or not save the one that you are working on at the moment. So that's going to be ZPR format, or ZBrush project format. So this is a ZBrush project, and in the middle we have the document or the Canva or the workspace. You can call it however you want. But it's essentially where we work most of the time, where we modify our models and sculpt and do everything we need to do. Now, with the cursor of the mouse, you can see we have this aim and these red circles. Now, those represent the brush. So if I click with the left mouse, I can start to sculpt on those polygons. You can still see the polygons there. So if I click, those polygons will be like pushed on the outside. They will be pulled on the outside. And that's the basic of sculpting. Yeah. Then we're gonna see more later, of course. Now, right now we are in edit mode. Now, previously when you opened up ZBrush, you weren't automatically in edit mode. You need to click there. So if you have like older version, you need to click and go and switch from the edit mode to the standard mode, which is in ZBrush the 2.5D mode. So we have these two different modes, and you can switch from one to the other by clicking on the edit button there on the top. So 3D mode is where you wanna model and sculpt and change your main subject, which is this face at the moment, this ad. And you can switch to 2.5D mode you can see now I've deactivated the edit mode. So right now I am in the 2.5 dimension, which is kind of a hybrid between 2D and 3D. So it means that I cannot move around, I cannot orbit around in the scene. I have this fixed 2D view, but you can see here I can add, I can continue to copy and add instances of this particular 3D model, which is also called tool. So in ZBrush, tool means a 3D object, a 3D model, a mesh object like this one here. So right now we are using the same tool to create like many copies and create like a 2D composition, which is not actually totally in 2D because we can actually see that we are using a 3D kind of a brush. So you can see there on the right we have the tool palette or the tool panel, and there's where we can configure the tool that we want to use, and we can load, we can save, and so on. But don't worry about all of that. Can be confusing at the beginning, but you're gonna see that little by little you're gonna familiarize with all of this information. So if I click again in the edit mode, now I am back in the 3D modeling, 3D sculpting mode, but I can only sculpt and model the last tool that I have inserted, the last edge that's right there in the background. You can see the cursor and the circles, which are symmetrical, by the way. So that's another feature that we're gonna talk about later, to work symmetrically. So that's the first thing you need to know. You have these two initial modes, the 2.5D and the 3D. Again, you can click on the Lightbox and let's open up another project here. Now these are all templates. There are a lot of them, so you can start with this. And again, I don't want to save anything. I just want to create a new one without saving the previous. So that's another head, kind of a anime or a manga character. And again, we are already in edit mode. So we don't need to go there and click in edit mode. We are already in the edit mode, so we can start to sculpt right away just by clicking with the left mouse on the surface. And you can see here, the polygons are less visible. So it means that it probably has more subdivisions, so more polygons, more faces. So the more faces I have, the more quality also I will have in my 3D model, in my mesh. So I'm going to jump back again in the Lightbox. Also, you can use the comma key if you want to open up the Lightbox. Comma key is going to open and close the Lightbox. In the Lightbox, you have many sections, which can also show you all the things that you can do in ZBrush. You can work with textures. You can work with alpha channels, with materials, with noise, with brushes, with fibers, so like hair and fur and groom brushes and things like that. And you have arrays and well, we're gonna see these documents, also render sets and filters like Photoshop to change the aspect of your image. And also you can work with Spotlight by projecting images and text and graphics in your object, which could be like a product. You can do product design, you can do jewelry design, you can do really a lot of stuff in ZBrush. You can open up also additional light boxes if you want, or you can close them, and you can arrange differently the icons and the thumbnails in the Lightbox by clicking on that little lines. So it's kind of a window, kind of an explorer of whatever you can use, especially at the beginning. It's pretty useful because you can open up these template files and you can start to work with these right away without too many efforts. So Lightbox, again, you can see that there is the comma indication there, the comma key, if you want to use it. And let's continue. Let's see more about the interface. So you have quick save, pretty self-explanatory when you want to save quickly your work. Up there in the right part. See-through, if you want to see what's in your desktop or behind this software, perhaps you have an image or some reference that you want to use, some reference image, and you can just use see-through to trace that. And then you can open and close the menus that are on the top, which you will see they are a little bit different from the standard menus in other software. And then you have this one here, which is gonna open up the welcome menu, and then you can change the interface. You have some presets that you can use, so you can go to the next or to the previous user interface setup. And you can see that colors are going to change, so you can choose your favorite one just by using some of these presets. So you can also create your customized user interface, but that's going to be a little bit more complex. I'm going to show you where you can do that, and you feel free to customize it if you want, but I'm going to use the standard interface so that we are all on the same page, we are all synchronized, and you can follow without any issue the course, the various lessons. Then you have the possibility to change the layouts. So you have some layouts preset for you. You can see that in this layout right here, we have a little bit of brushes down at the bottom. Now, brushes are probably the tool that you're gonna use the most when you are here in ZBRUSH. So probably you're gonna end up by setting up your own toolbar with your own favorite brushes sooner or later. So you can change interface, you can change colors. Some interface is not gonna have any panel, any toolbar, so it's gonna have more space for the action, more space for the workspace, which is again the middle part, the center part, the core part. Now, if you press Tab key, you can also expand the workspace and hide all the other stuff. So Tab key to like have a bigger workspace, and Tab again to bring again back all the tools. And then you have the classic Windows restore, minimize, and close. So you probably know those and not gonna spend extra time on that. Now let's go to the menus. Again, like I said before, these are a little bit different from the usual Windows or Mac application that you probably use, like Photoshop or 3D Studio Max or Maya or Cinema 4D, whatever. By the way, you will find courses on other 3D modeling tools in the channel, so look for them. So you can see here they appear like panels, like palettes. This is how they're called, and they're actually palettes. So they're not just a list of names, and they're not just textual, but they have like this icons and representations. So they're pretty intuitive to use, pretty user-friendly in a way. And you can see they are in alphabetical order. So the first one is alpha, and then you have brush, and so on. So they are not in like order of importance. They are in alphabetical order. And you can see that you have a tool. Now, if I click on tool, it's going to disappear there on the right. Why? Because that's already there. So you either use the menu here and drop down the palette, or you just use the palette that's on the right, which you can also hide. You can and use just the menu. So you can choose the method that you prefer, the way that you prefer to access the various commands. And by the way, you will find all the commands in the software in these palettes. So everything that's in ZBRUSH is there. And you also have like plugins that you can add to the software. So you have a plugin menu, but we're gonna get to that in again more in depth later. I'm just gonna show you quickly how everything is gonna work. And you have render menu, you have animation, you have materials. And if you want, you can click on the little circle on the top left of a panel, and you can drag and place it wherever you want. Now you can see that you can click again and place it in another part. I want to place it on the left side. I also have panels on the left side. I just need to open them up. You can see there is a divider there represented with two arrows. So if you double click, you're going to expand that part. So you can expand the left part, you can expand the right part, that's gonna take more space of your main document, the core part. And again, you can click and drag any palette into these shelves. These are actually called shelves. So shelves can be used to store different palettes or different panels in order that I can not use the menus on the top, so I can hide the menus if I want. And you can scroll the scroll wheel of your mouse to go up and down. And by the way, to move in the Lightbox, you need to click and drag with the left mouse. So here you need to scroll. So you can also click again to deactivate those panels that you have inserted in the shelves. You can expand or close the shelves if you want to use them, or in um, you can use the menus in alternative to the shelves. So it's really up to you. I'm just showing you all the possibilities and then you can decide. But again, I'm gonna stick with the default interface so that you can all find the way. Now, if we go in the preference menu, this is where you can init ZBrush. Init means that you're gonna bring it back to the factory status, which means it's gonna reset everything. You're gonna lose all your settings and work and tools that you have loaded and whatever. So that's really gonna restart everything up just by going into init ZBrush. And you can do that if you think you are something looks messed up or something doesn't work like it's supposed to. So every time you have like an issue, a bug or whatever, something that doesn't you know look right, you can just init ZBrush. Otherwise, if you go in the config, you can see here you can restore your custom user interface, the standard user interface, and that's what I'm gonna do. So that's gonna be the default interface, but not the default software. So to restart the software, you do init ZBrush. To restart just the user interface, you can restore the standard user interface. Now, if you do store config, that means that every time you're gonna open up ZBrush, it's gonna open up with the configuration that you saved up the last time. So if you customize the interface and say store config, the next time it's gonna open up with your customized configuration. And you can also save and load user interfaces if you want. If you perhaps you need to move into another computer, or you are like you're working with two computers, like one in the office, one at home, you can load and save a UI and then load it in another computer. So you have all the options there in the preference. Now, if you enable the customization, you can start to create your own user interface, not only in terms of colors and layouts, but also you can click and drag. For example, here I want to click and drag a brush. So you need to hold Ctrl Alt keys, click and drag, and place it in a correct spot. So let me do that again. Ctrl Alt and click and drag with the left mouse and place it where the like white box is gonna appear. So let me do it again. Ctrl Alt, click and drag, place in there in the white box. So I can create again my own customized tool set of brushes, or I can also take these parameters right here, Ctrl Alt, click, drag, and place it right there. So I can create my customized toolbar or menu, or call it however you want. Now, if I want to reset, just gonna go there. Well, actually, I want to save it first because I want to use it in another computer. So I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna send it via email. That's gonna be a file. You can see the format there, and just save it. And whenever you want, you can just load it, or we can just restore. Now I'm just gonna restore the standard user interface again. I don't wanna use something that is gonna be customized. That's can confuse you. So we saw a little bit of these basic commands here, but you can also customize other stuff in here, and especially colors. You can play a lot with colors, change the interface with your favorite colors, and you can see here that you have all the parts of the interface. So in the preferences, essentially, you can customize many things, but we're gonna talk about just the interface in this video. And again, this is just an introduction to the software. So I don't want to scare you with things that are too complex. Again, we're gonna take things slowly and step by step. So here in the left part, you have some tools for the brush, and you can customize the brush in many different ways. So we're gonna see how we can start with the standard brushes and then change that into something more customized in terms of shape and colors and material. On the top part, we have Lightbox, we have edit mode button, and then we have a lot of other properties that we can set up. We can work with geometry and material, only with color and other stuff. In the left part, sorry, in the right part, we have the visualization and navigation tools, and to work with the central part, which is our workspace. So we're gonna get more into depth with those later. And of course, we have the shelves that are hidden at the moment, so you can use them, hide them, show them, and that's it. So, and well, actually, there is this little line just below the properties that it's really one of my favorite tools. This is basically a history bar, so you can go back and forward in time just by clicking and dragging that from the left to the right if you want to go forward, from the right to the left if you want to go back. And it's essentially the undo and redo function that you find in any software. So here it's just represented with this, and you can go a lot forward and a lot back in time using ZBrush. It has a lot of levels of undo and redo. So it's really important, because when you're working a project, you may want to go back and forward and change things. So that's again one of my favorite, because it's actually giving me the possibility to see where I am at in the timeline. So it's kind of a timeline. Now to see those, we need to go to edit. So you can see here you have undo, redo. Now to go back, you can do Ctrl Z. To go forward or redo, you need to do Ctrl Shift Z, or sorry, Ctrl Z and Ctrl Shift Z. It's more correct. So in another software, you probably have Ctrl Z, Ctrl Epsilon. Here you have Ctrl Z, Ctrl Shift Z. Shortcut keys to go back and forward or undo and redo. So this will be all for this long introduction. Actually, we saw a lot more about the interface. We familiarize with the software. And so in the following videos, we're gonna start to see more action. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel. If you want to support us, you can join the channel as a supporter and check our other video courses and guides. See you in the next video.